Our story today is about an incredible story called the piggyback flight. The incident where a B-17 collided with another B-17 and became hooked together. It's December the 31st, 1944, New Year's Eve. But many brave young men are not celebrating today as they crew a group of 37 planes conducting a mission targeting oil refineries over Hamburg. Having completed their mission, the surviving planes have been flying through flak for over an hour. It's so dark that you can't see the sky. Lieutenant Glenn Rojon is in command of a B-17G, the Little Skipper. He and his crew are desperately trying to find a way through the flak, maneuvering as best they can to avoid the plumes of smoke and fire bursting all around them and their comrades. Finally, the planes reach the North Sea, and to everyone's relief, the flak subsides. Now flying straight and level, the planes take position in formation with all crews watching carefully for enemy fighters. There is a very strong headwind that means the B-17s are traveling much slower than usual. Suddenly, they're spotted. At 22,000 feet, the B-17s are jumped and a battle takes place. There are countless enemies, and wave after wave of German Me-109 fighters buzz and strafe the American planes. Staying in tight formation is the best defense, but the fighters are relentless and many B-17s are lost. The Me-109s are coming in so close on their attack runs that the faces of their pilots can be seen by Rojon and his crew. B-17s are known for their resilience, but they can only take so much damage. With so many planes going down, the lucky lassie becomes the alternate leader, and the planes take action to form a tight defensive formation around it. There's a flash, and Rojon sees the terrible sight of the plane in front of him being badly hit, slide out of formation, and drop down towards the sea below. The fighters are swarming all over, and Lieutenant Rojon needs to fill the gap in the new formation. Determinedly, gunning his plane forward, he increases the speed to fill the gap and restores the defensive integrity of the formation, trying to make it home. The Me-109s, though, are merciless. And just underneath Rojon's plane, another B-17, the 9 Lives, has been hit. The plane is still flying, but the pilot and co-pilot have been taken out. Unbeknownst to Lieutenant Rojon, with no one at the stick, the 9 Lives starts to drift up. Inside the Little Skipper, there's a sickening crunch as an impact runs through the plane. Rojon, confused and shocked, looks at his co-pilot, Lieutenant William G. Leake. The plane starts to feel heavy and lurches down. They both pull back on the stick and manage to keep her flying, but something is seriously wrong. It's at this point they realize that they have collided and they are locked together in flight with another B-17. The 9 Lives had crashed the top of its fuselage into the bottom of the Little Skipper. The top gun turret of the bottom plane was locked in the bottom of the top plane. The two bombers are flying almost perfectly aligned, the tail of the lower plane being slightly to the left of Rojon's tailpiece. They were stuck together, as Bill Leake later recalled, like dragonflies. In the lower plane, 3 of the engines are still running, as are all 4 of the top planes. However, a fire has broken out in the stopped engine, which in the crash has damaged the hydraulics and the electrics of the Little Skipper, and the planes were quickly losing altitude. Rojon tries in vain to separate the aircraft through various maneuvers, but it's impossible. Knowing it would be extremely dangerous to try and make it back to England, he reluctantly decides to head back to Germany. Bailing out over the water was extremely risky, so the best bet is to try and limp to shore to give the crew the best chance possible. With fire spreading, Rojon takes the decision to cut the Little Skipper's engines. In an amazing show of airmanship, the pilot and co-pilot manage to coax the locked planes around and head back to Germany. Now, approaching the coast, they're spotted by German aircraft batteries. The German captain of one recorded in his logbook, 2 fortresses collided in a formation in the northeast. The planes flew hooked together and flew 20 miles south. The 2 planes were unable to fight anymore. The crash could be avoided, so I stopped firing at these two planes. In order to give his crew the best chance of bailing out safely, Rojan battled to keep the plane under control. In all, 6 men parachuted out of the little skipper. Rojan ordered Leek to bail out, but Leek knew it took 2 men with colossal effort to keep the plane level. If he had bailed out, Rojan was certain to perish as the plane spiraled out of control. Lieutenant Leek refused the order. The 2 men were going to see this flight through to its final conclusion. Having earlier bailed out, drifting down from his parachute, navigator, Lieutenant Robert Washington, watched the strange sight of the 2 bombers stuck together disappear towards the ground in the distance. The 2 planes in piggyback, one on top of the other, were approaching the ground at a terrifying speed. Seeing the ground rushing up before them, both men said their prayers and pulled back on the stick in a Herculean effort at the last moment to give the plane as much lift as possible. They had to pull so hard on the steering yoke that they had to put their feet on the console to brace themselves. Approaching Tetten's field in northern Germany, the plane slammed into the earth. The 9 lives disintegrated on impact, with the little skipper shooting forward, sliding along the ground. A wing crashed into a wooden building, and the plane broke apart. Wreckage flew in all directions, and almost the entire plane was destroyed. As the nose of the plane came to rest and silence descended, the 2 men, still in their seats, amazingly had survived. Rojan and Leek exited the wreck just as a German soldier rushed up to take them prisoner. Unfortunately, not all the airmen escaped on that day. In total, 6 crews survived from the little skipper and 4 bailed and survived from the 9 lives. But the fact that any made it through was an incredible achievement. All who survived were captured by the Germans. Lieutenant Glenn Rojan was awarded the Distinguished Flying Cross for his actions on that day, but he always credited Leek for saving his life. The 2 men lost touch with each other after the war, but in 1986, Glenn Rojan managed to track Bill Leek down and get in touch. In 1987, the 2 men and the surviving crew were finally brought back together at a reunion of the 100th Bomb Group in Long Beach, California. This is the end of our story today. If you enjoy this video, we'd really appreciate your subscription. So don't forget to hit the subscribe button and let us know in the comments if you like more stories like this. Have a good day, thank you, and see you next time.